Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivada Dhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivada Dhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivadadari. Gopi Janavala. Sodanandana Bhajanjana Rahanjana. Yasodanandana Bhajan Janarangana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivadadari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivadadari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Sodanandana Bhajanjana Rahanjana. Jasodanandana Bhajanjana Rahanjana. Jasodanandana Bhajanjana Rahanjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha. Jayam Vishubhat Paramahansa Vribraya Gacharastu Tarasata Srishmari Divine Grace of Acharya Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Lord Premanandi Hari Hari. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 12, Creation of the Kumaras and Others. Text number 39. Please repeat. Itihasa Puranani Panchamam Vedamishwara Sarvivya Eva Sarvivya Eva Bhaktrevya Sasrije Sarvadarshanaha Itihasa Puranani Panchamam Vedamishwaraha Sarvivya Eva Bhaktrevya Sasrije Sarvadarshanaha. Devotees. Yes. Itihasa Puranani Itihasa Puranani Itihasa Puranani Ishvara Itihasa Puranani. Anyone else? Itihasa Puranani Itihasa histories Puranani, the Puranas, supplementary Vedas. Panchamam, the 5th. Vedam, the Vedic literature. Ishvaraha, the Lord. Sarvavyeha, altogether. Eva, certainly. Bhaktrevyaha, from his mouth. Sasrije, created. Sarva, all around. Darshanaha, who can see all time. Translation. Then he created the 5th Veda, the Puranas and the histories from all his mouth, since he could see all the past, present, and future. Please repeat. Then he created the fifth Veda, the Puranas and the histories from all his mouth, since he could see all the past, present, and future. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. There are histories of particular countries and nations and of the world. But the Puranas are the histories of the universe, not only in one millennium, but in many kalpas. Brahma has knowledge of those historical facts, and therefore all the Puranas are histories. As originally composed by Brahma, they are part of the Vedas and are called the fifth Veda. Om Jnanati Mirandasya Jnanandjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Rave Namah. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesha Sunyavari Pasyatyadesh Namine. Om Tat Sat. So thank you for the opportunity to glorify Krishna through the best agency, which is the Srimad Bhagavatam. So a bit of the context here. What's happening, it's that the detailed description of the creation is being presented by Maitreya to Vidura. Vidura has asked several questions, and now Maitreya is explaining or answering those queries that Vidura had. So the specific context of this section is the manifestation of the Vedas. How does the Vedas manifest? And what comes first, and what is involved in each of them, etc. So the first point is that Srila Prabhupada explains the essence of the Vedas. And what is the essence of the Vedas? Bhagavad Gita, very good. And what do we find in the Bhagavad Gita? Bhakti. Bhakti to whom? To Krishna. Yeah. Bhakti is exclusive to Krishna. Sometimes we say, oh, I'm a Shiva Bhakta, right? Or I'm a Durga Bhakta. But Bhakti, in its true sense, it's aimed to Krishna. Any other Bhaktas or Bhaktis are not complete if they are not devoted to Krishna. So there are many details about the Vedas and how they manifest. A few days ago, Manivana Prabhu was giving a class, and he read the verse where it says that from the four mouths of Lord Brahma, the four Vedas manifested. And there was a bit of a questioning how is it that Lord Brahma manifested four Vedas when it is explained that Srila Vyasadeva 5,000 years ago or so divided the Vedas, put it in writing, and then divided. Anyway, there is an explanation in the 12th canto. I think he quoted in some of the local group that actually the Vedas are one. The knowledge of the Vedas, it's like, and this is a commentary given by the disciples of Prabhupada, mainly Ridhanda Maharaj and Gopi Paranadhana Prabhu, that explain that it's just like pearls. Too loud. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Yeah, it's okay. It's just like pearls, that you may have a number of pearls, and they are of different colors. So all of them manifested through the mouths of Brahma. But later on, Srila Vyasadeva organized them and sorted them. Like, okay, these are yellow or blue or red, white, like that. So in the same way, Srila Vyasadeva, Vyasa means the one who cuts or the one who divides. That's the literal meaning of the word Vyasa. That's right. Vyasadeva, the one who divides. So he divided the Vedas. He divided as it is explained, the original Veda, and he gave it to different teachers, different rishis, different sages, different devotees, for each one of them become a specialized teacher in that given department of knowledge, Vedic knowledge. Now it's quite interesting for those of us who are trying to learn Prabhupada's teachings. What is the original Veda? Nishinha Kavacha Prabhu. No. It's quite interesting. The original Veda, anyone knows? No? Atharva? Rig? Correct. Any other? Samaveda? Correct. Which one's missing? Jajur? Correct. Interestingly enough, Srila Prabhupada mentions in different parts of his teachings that the original Veda is, one time he says Atharva, I have all the quotes. Other time he says Jayur, other time he says Rig, other times he says Sama. Right? I mean, there are so many things that we can say about the Vedas, and there are so many details, the chronology, which one manifests which, etc. And of course, there is the explanation of what each of the Vedas explain. Right? But you know what's the problem? What's the problem of this age? Apart from many other things. What is the main problem that you face? Don't make it too theoretical or philosophical. What is it? What's that? Forgetfulness. Okay, that's a good one. Thank you for the honesty. Anything else? Time. Very good. Okay. This is the era of no time, right? I'm sure that many of you are already thinking, what's going to happen? Breakfast, and then what we're going to do, and time is running, isn't it? It's like a tide that it's coming up. What are we going to do? No time. We have no time to understand the Vedas. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada very kindly has summarized the essence of the Vedas and has given us the Bhagavad Gita. Right? So if we understand the essence of the Bhagavad Gita, which is expanded, further manifested, or elaborated upon, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, then we achieve perfection. Now, Vedas means hundreds and thousands of verses. And some of you, great souls, already said that the essence of the Vedas, or what is the essence of the Vedas? What is the goal of the Vedas? There are many goals, but Sambandha Videya is technical, but in essence, one, Maxim, Sutra. What is the essence of the Vedas? To know Krishna, thank you. Krishna says, Vedascha sarvar aham eva vedyo. Where? In the Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 15, text 15. So, the essence of the Vedas, it's not only to know Krishna, but to, somebody already mentioned that, to love Him. In fact, to know Krishna means, is like an axiomatic formulation there. We cannot know Krishna unless we love Him. That's what he says, Bhaktyamam abhijnanati. Therefore, to love Krishna is to know Him, or vice versa. So, therefore, there are so many things these few days I have been researching, very interesting, what the Vedas are and who takes which part and what each section of the Vedas explain. But by the mercy of the Vaishnavas, we have the opportunity to understand the essence of the Vedas. Now, let's remember, unless you know Sanskrit, what was the topic of the verse today? Because sometimes the classes go everywhere and anywhere, and let's just try to focus on the text and what Prabhupada is saying. What is the verse today? If anyone remembers anything about the verse today, what is manifested today? It's right there. The word is there. Which is the Puranas, right? Iti hasa, which means histories, Puranani. So, in the previous verses, the Vedas are manifested, and here the Puranas are manifested. How many Vedas are there? 4. Chaturvedi, right? And this is called Panchaveda, all right? So we may ask, why? Why do we need, so many Vedas already, no time. Why do we need a Purana? Why do we need these histories there? Okay, so just to keep you awake, why do you think the Puranas are important? Just being practical. Theories there in Bhagavad Gita, philosophy, and all that. Why the Puranas are important? Prabhu, sorry, I cut you off. People like to hear stories. That's good. Prabhuji? The fifth Veda, it's like a summary, shall we say? Okay. All right. Yeah. So we like to hear stories. That's good. So it's entertaining. Mate? Out loud. They give evidence. Okay. All right. Okay. Right. There's something called in modern science and different areas of work, it's called case studies. What do you study? You're not studying. I'm still in school. All right. Okay. I thought you were a bit older. So, we have these case studies, right? So you have a theory and you have a case study, right? Or let's say something practical, medicine, right? There's some disease, there's some virus, there's some pandemic, and then there's the case studies. How many thousand people got cured, how many thousand people die, and all these sort of things. So these case studies are nothing else but the application of those theories in someone's life. Yes or not? That's case studies. Am I right? How that disease affected someone, how that someone got cured or not cured because did this or didn't do that. Correct? That's a case study. So the Puranas actually mean ancient, very old. Purana. So the Puranas are all or ancient stories, histories of people that apply this knowledge in their lives. And that's why they are important. Not only because they are interesting, and we like one of the rules in public speaking is if you start with a story, everyone will pay attention. I remember once upon a time when my daughter was born, and everyone will pay attention. So that's a freebie for those who are into public speaking. So it is interesting and attracts our attention. And therefore, how does the Bhagavatam start? Once upon a time, many sages, how many? 60,000, 80,000 sages gathered together in this forest called, what was the name of the forest? Naimisharanya, you see? So everything starts, you can almost hear the background music, the special effects, right? Now we are so used to Hollywood or Bollywood or something, and then everything is like a movie, yeah? So that's how the story begins, the Puranas. And all the Vedic knowledge it's going to be presented here in the life of many, many devotees. The first story that it's presented in the Bhagavad Purana comes quite early in the first canto, in chapters 4, 5, and 6. Is the history of Narada Muni. Right? So let's backpedal a little and let's go back to the essence of the Vedas. What are the Vedas? There is a very famous class, has become famous like many classes of Prabhupada, but this particular class is very, very famous, shall I say, because it was used as the introduction to the Sri Ishupanishad. Okay? You know all this book? If you want to know philosophy, in how many verses? 18 verses. Right? Which is the shortest chapter of the Bhagavad Gita? Anyone knows? 34 verses. 11, 55. 7, 30 verses. It's like an auction. Anyone gives more or less? We need to know Bhagavad Gita. If not, chapters 12 and 15, they are the shortest because they have 20 verses only. You know how long it takes you to read all that chapter without the purports? Barely 5 minutes. Barely 5 minutes. Just the verses. You know that every chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, except chapter 2, which has 72 verses, and chapter 18, which has 78 verses, takes less than 10 minutes to read. 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes. Okay? So this book, the Sri Upanishad, which is a summary of the Vedic understanding, has only 18 verses. Okay? So if you want to know philosophy in a crash course, please buy this book. Right? This is the understanding, the philosophical understanding of Krishna consciousness, or we can say the Vedic, or the essential teachings of the Vedic knowledge. And if we want to apply them, there's another small book, smaller than this one, which is the application of the Krishna conscious principle, one of Prabhupada's main books that he would quote and use. It's called the Nectar of Instruction, which has how many verses? 11 verses. Even smaller than this one. So you see, very, very small. You have no time, right? We agree that that's the problem of this age. So I'm sure you don't have time to read 700 verses. Okay, so read only 18. Right? And to apply them, I don't have time to read hundreds and thousands of verses. Okay, just read 11. Right? Now, this is the trick. Once you read these 18 verses, you will like to read much more. Right? Lord Shiva says, who repeats what Lord Vishnu says to their wives, Parvati and to Sri Lakshmi respectively, that even one word of the Bhagavad Gita, even one word that's in the Gita Mahatmya, will give you perfection. Right? One word, one line, one verse, right? And the trick on doing that is, I can guarantee you, if you go and read one verse or one line or even one word of the Bhagavad Gita, you will want to read much more. You know, sometimes in supermarkets they have these people, I don't know how you call them technically, in different countries, different places, different names. The samplers, you know, they are offering you a bit of yogurt or juice or something like that, or some unmentionable things also. Cheese and all that stuff, right? Says, take, for free, you know. Huh? And then it's like that. So this is the Sankirtan technique. You just give them a little something. Just give them some prasadam, give them some book, give them something, let them chant, and then they want more, either in this life or in next lives. Huh? That's the idea. Okay, so what are the Vedas? Srila Prabhupada summarizes the teachings of the Vedas in this famous class that it's used as the introduction to the Sri Upanishad. What does he explain there? First of all, because as I said, we have no time, just maybe 20 minutes, if not less. The Vedas explain that in order for us to have a happy life, we need to follow the Vedic principles. That's what it is. In the Bhagavad Gita, and why someone said the essence of the Vedas is Bhagavad Gita, right? One of you, atheists? Yeah? Okay. Why? That's the question. The Pandits, the erudite, the knowledgeable people, out of many, Bhanu Swami, for example, he gives some wonderful classes I was hearing yesterday, and he explains why the Bhagavad Gita is considered the essence of the Vedas. It's considered it's called the Gita Upanishad. Right? In Upanishad, we can say it's the confidential teachings. What's chapter 9 title, except the senior purpose? Chapter 9, Bhagavad Gita. What's the title? Anyone? The most confidential. Not only confidential, but most confidential. Right? The most confidential. And what is the most confidential knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita? Already someone said, but let's say it again. Repetition is necessary for learning, Prabhupada says. What is about Krishna? To love Krishna, bhakti. Okay, so in the Bhagavad Gita, different levels of knowledge are given. And the first knowledge that it's given to Arjuna, right in the beginning, it's about Atma Tattva. Who are we? Right? And that's one of the teachings of the Vedas. We are not this body. That's called the ABC. The ABC of a spiritual life. We are not the body. What are we? Spirit soul. Everybody knows that by heart. We're a spirit soul. That's very nice. You get all second chapter, 72 verses, many of them, most of them, devoted to that. Right? So now that we know that we are not the body, now that we know we're a spirit soul, then what are we meant to do? Are we meant to just float around and just, we're a spirit soul, right? So if we are not the body, why do we have to use this body for? Correct? Even Arjuna says that to Krishna. What you're telling me is a little bit confusing. You're talking all these beautiful words about intelligence and spirituality and all that, and then you're asking me to fight. So the second teaching that the Bhagavad Gita presents, it's about duty, work. And therefore, we have chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita, which is called Karma Yoga. Karma means work, right? In this context, karma means work. So Krishna is teaching Arjuna how to understand himself, identity. Then Krishna teaches Arjuna how to engage himself practically. We have to work. And the way in which we have to work has a technical name that it's actually connected with one of the names of the Vedas, of the 4 Vedas. And it's, what's the name in Sanskrit of the action of working for Krishna? Famous verse, chapter 3, text number 9. Jagya. Very good. Jagya. When we work for the Lord, when we work spiritually, when we work for a higher goal, when we work selflessly, it's called Jagya. The root word is judge. And Krishna uses that word twice at least from memory, surely much more in the Gita. But in the famous 9:34, where Krishna says, Manmana, think of me, Baba Mat Bhakto, become my devotee, Ma Jaji. That's the word, Jaji. Jaji means worship. Okay? Do something practical. Do something practical for me. Not only I love you, lip service, Prabhupada used to say, but never do anything for him. I often give this example. If the husband says that to the wife, oh, I love you so much, but I forgot to bring the milk. I forgot anniversary. I forgot your birthday. That doesn't work, isn't it? Right? Or vice versa. I'm just using. Because men are generally forgetful of such things. Guilty of all charges. So, Krishna says, do something practical for me. Mat jaji, mat namashkuru. And respect me. He says twice, 934, 1865. So, this teaching that the Vedas give, jagya, right? Jagya means sacrifice. It's perhaps the main topic of the 4 Vedas. How to do jagya, how to chant hymns, how to perform, when you do homas and that, Vedic sacrifices, marriages, housewarming, what else? Anna Prashan, what you give to the, so many. We have the ministry of deity worship, so many yagyas we do, and everything has to be done at a certain time, at a certain place, in a certain direction, by a certain person, with certain ingredients. Everything is very technical. So many of these things, in principle, are mentioned in the Vedas, right? Too complicated for some of us. We don't have enough time. We already crossed, the time, because generally it says 100 years to learn one of these sciences. So already some of us, we don't have that much time, right? So Prabhupada very kindly brought the essence of the Vedas. So this is a teaching that Krishna gives to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. Sacrifice, jagya. And then other areas of the Vedas explain how to sing songs. Samaveda is basically hymns. And whom to address. You will be surprised, right, that some of the big portions of the Vedas are aimed at certain demigods, for example. Indra, Agni, and others. Okay? So we may read Vedas or come across the Vedas. Now on the internet everything is available, unfortunately, in ways. And we may say, why? Why the Vedas are aiming at, isn't it Krishna Bhagavan? Why Vedas are confusing? Parts of the Vedas are also, large parts of the Vedas are aimed at understanding Brahman, impersonal aspect of the Supreme. Yes? Some of you may be aware. Right? Now, why do you think that is? Why do the Vedas show, we may say initially, a confusing a structure and doesn't show Krishna directly, just out front? Why do you think? Krishna is not so cheap. That's a good one. Yeah. Remember, what was the chapter 9 title? The most confidential knowledge. Guhyam, that's the word, Guhyam. So Krishna has hidden himself, right? Has hidden himself within the Vedas to not be taken wrongly, to not be taken cheaply. Okay? One of the main teachings that Prabhupada presents in his preaching, in his writings, his comments, is, for example, you have to accept a guru. Acharya Upashanam. He quotes Vedas, he quotes the Goswamis, etc. Acharya Upashanam. And one of the reasons why Krishna is hidden within the Vedas is because you need a devotee who show you Krishna. A devotee who has bhakti only can show you Krishna. That's why. Otherwise, we just go to the library, we just go to internet and you get some Vedas and that's it. So simple. But no, you have to find a devotee who has bhakti. That is the reason. So here the Puranas are manifested in this particular verse because these are the practical explanations. And Prabhupada often used to quote, I think it's Mahabharata, Tarko pratishta shutayo bibinam. Mahajanojena katasa pantaha. Right? That if you want to learn something, there is so much, there's so far that we can go with taraka. Taraka means argumentation. Like in politics or something like that. Yeah? People talking, I remember when I was little, my dad will come and get the newspapers. And immediately he will go to the middle part of the newspaper. He will open, I don't know, still in India is a big thing, newspapers, right? And I remember he will open in the middle part. And what was the middle part? Economics, finance, and conflict, war. I remember. And I will go, curious as I was, and look at it. And I always ask my dad, Dad, why they're always fighting? After decades, I mean, I haven't seen a newspaper for a long time or read a newspaper. But I can guarantee you that if you open the middle part, more or less depending on the design of the particular newspaper, you're going to find exactly the same thing. How to make money and how to kill for it. Those are wars. How many wars are going on right now? So these topics are temporary. These topics are confusing. But the Vedas explain something different. The first teaching of the Vedas is Jagya. Pay your taxes. Right? Everyone in Australia pay taxes? Yeah? Yeah? If not, you're in trouble. I don't know how the situation is in India, but just like in South America, it's not so strict, right? And therefore, that's why the economy is not so strong, because people are not being honest, neither the politicians are being honest. But the first thing that the Vedas explain is you have to be thankful for what you receive. Anybody pays electricity bill or for the sunlight or something like that? Do we? Huh? You pay to the sunlight. Electricity we do. But the sun is there, we don't pay. Oxygen, imagine you wake up one day, oh, no oxygen today. It's like sometimes water is cut or electricity is cut. No oxygen. What will happen? Disaster. So oxygen is for free, sunlight is for free, moonlight is for free. So the idea of the Vedas is you have to be grateful for what you receive. And the way to be grateful, or the way to pay taxes, is to do Jagya. Right? And then we do Jagya for Agni, or for Varuna, or for Indra. Why? Why do we do Jagya for Indra? Not we, but in general, the Vedas recommend. Why? More water. Yes, thank you. Somebody's aware. Right? So that's the idea that humans, as is explained in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, text 9, 10, etc., Krishna recommends work with a spiritual conscious, work for me, because in this way you will be happier. If you pay your taxes, if you do things properly, if you drive, on the proper side, you'll be safer. Yes or no? Oh, I'm free spirit. Let me just drive anywhere. I don't care. Left side, right side. Oh, everything is one. No. You will be in trouble. You have to do things right. Health-wise, relationships, anything. Is it? There's some universal hierarchy that we need to understand, that we need to accept. And the more we accept, the better our life. Simple. It's called pious life. That's explained in the Vedas. Then the second, to wrap it up, the second main instruction in the Vedas is Gyan. We need to understand things. Not only we have to work like water buffaloes, just go. Don't think, just do your thing, that's it. What do you call that? Tunnel vision. But we need to understand. Humans have the capacity to understand. And there are basically three things that the Vedas recommend us to understand. One, who are we? What's our identity? Who are we? Not the externals, not the age, not the weight, not the color of the eyes, and all that. Who are we? Really? eternally, because this frame, it's going to end in a few years, right? So who are we eternally? That's the first question. The second question is, who or what do we come from? What do we come from? Who do we come from? Do we come from someone? Not materially, not related to the body, but eternally. In 100 years' time, whatever answers we give to those two questions materially are useless. That's a fact. Oh, my father, my mother, my grandfather, my grandmother, my great. You know, in 100 years, once this body is finished, that's useless. That data, that what you call demographic, it's useless. Right? So the Vedas recommend atato Brahma. Brahma means spiritual. You ask these questions and answer them spiritually. What is our identity eternally? What is our source eternally? These are the two questions, right? And the third question that the Vedas ask or recommend us to ask is, how can we stop suffering? Because now everything is fine. For 2 days or 3 days, we had non-stop rain. The bridge, the river was flooded, right? I don't know how many meters, 3 meters, 5 meters above the level, right? Everyone was stuck here for a couple days. It was very fun, yeah? But imagine if there's no stoppage of that rain. Yesterday, I think there was earthquake in Japan. You saw? I don't know how many dead toll is there, but you know. So imagine there's war. Imagine if there's floods and constant floods and bushfires and so many disasters. It's not fun. And in any case, even if we have a super nice, healthy, wonderful life, at some point it's going to end. Right? My dear and love and near ones are going to go, and I'm going to go too. So then what? Big question mark. So the Vedas recommend, use your human capacity and ask, who are you eternally? Where do you come from eternally? And where are you going eternally? That is the message of the Vedas. And therefore, Prabhupada gives this wonderful class. It's just maybe 3-4 pages and summarizes all the entire Vedic knowledge in just a few pages. Imagine. Hundreds of lifetimes saved. We can just read this. Not even the whole, how many verses is Upanishad? We forgot already. 18. There you go. We need to repeat to learn. Right? So memory is part of that cognitive process. So not even the whole 18 verses. Just read the introduction. You know the trick. If you read the introduction, I'm sure you will want to read a little bit more. That's just the trick. Right? Like I remember when I joined, before I joined, years before I joined, I was in the bus. I was 14 years old, I think. And then I used to be a fan of Kung Fu movies. And there was this Kung Fu series. And, you know, the guy was like a Shaolin monk, and he has been trained in Japan or somewhere there. And he has come to America, and he was like a righteous fellow, and he will defend the poor and the weak and all that. So he was like a super fighter, and he will go with a flute, like a Babaji, and he had a bag, and he will go in the towns in America, and then whoever is doing wrong, he will punish, beat them up, and things, defend people like that. So he was my hero. So one day I was in the bus, and then I saw one Kung Fu guy. What I thought was a Kung Fu guy was a devotee, shaved up. I could see he was shaved up, but he was having a hat, and I saw his kuntis. I saw some, you know, it's Brahmin thread or something, and he has this bag of books. So then I thought, oh, a Kung Fu guy. Wow, fantastic. First time in my life. He comes up in the bus, and then he starts saying, I brought some books from my spiritual master. He brought 4 books, little books. He says, this is a collection of mystical India. And it's only 100 sucres. Sucres was the currency in my country, Ecuador, where I was born in this lifetime. And I was thinking, oh my God, this is fascinating. And he has a guru. He says, my guru, my spiritual master, asked me to distribute these books. And I was like, oh my God. And I was thinking, I only have 20 sucres. I have only 1/5 of the 100. And I was thinking, how much money I have? I have only 20. And then he says, this is exactly what he says. That young fellow at the back, just hold on, I'm coming. And I thought, gee, he can read my mind. I was mesmerized. I didn't know what was happening, but I was wanting the books. So he comes up to me and I said quietly, I only have 20. And he patted me on the back. He says, never mind, you have them all. I know you will read them. I thought, oh, gee, so incredible. Years after, maybe, 4 or 5 years after, when I joined the temple, and when they were showing us how to distribute books, they showed me the trick. They say every time you go into a bus and you see someone, especially young guys, you said, that young man there, I'm just coming, right? And if you see they are really interested, never mind, because you're going to get some extra donations for other books. Just pat them and tell them, I know you will read them. So Krishna tricked me like that. But I'm sure that part was a transcendental trick, a trick over a trick. So this is the message of the Vedas. Ask who we are, ask where do we come from, and ask how we can get out of this prison cell called the body and this prison house which is called the material world. And the best way to do that is to surrender unto Krishna. And therefore, that's why Bhagavad Gita is considered the essence of the Vedas, and sometimes it's called Gita Upanishad, because it's the most confidential teachings that the Vedas give us, but only can be given if a pure devotee handed that to us. That's the idea. Okay, so we're going to stop here. Try to be loyal to the text and to what Prabhupada has said. And any questions? We have 1 minute. Any questions? Matei? Hold on. Pause. Please.
Thank you for the class. You're mentioning that we need to do yajna and grateful for what Krishna has provided for us. So what is that tendency in people that we do yajna for our work, we do yajna to go and take our families to the beach or go to, taking kids to movie world, even aspiring devotees, but then the yajna of committing to some regular service or coming to do, help out is not really what could you say we could do to encourage that also do some offering, some sacrifice, even if it's not sacrificing some of one's income, at least make some commitment to do some service, even a fortnightly or monthly or something.
Yajna in principle or sacrifice in principle means to do something for someone else benefit. Prabhupada explains that in his purports in the Gita. He says sometimes people sacrifice a lot for their family, sometimes they sacrifice a lot for the country or for humanity. So that's good. In one sense, it's purifying, more than a selfish grouch that is just, wanting for himself. And he dies like that, holding on to his, own things. So let's understand that. Now, in terms of devotees, sometimes we have to do certain things for others, We have to be kind to friends, families, relatives, neighbors, colleagues, etc. Yeah. Now, how to encourage others to do yajna? First of all, we have to give the example. One. And if anything else, tarko pratishta, our arguments may not be so efficacious, but by the example of Srila Prabhupada, what did Prabhupada do when he was in New York? He befriended these youngsters, these boys and girls. He got to know them. He asked them, what are your problems? What's going on? And sometimes he would listen for a long, long time to their stupid things. Actually, there is a diary. I don't know if it's online, but you may come across it. And sometimes Prabhupada writes, today I spoke 1 hour with Mr. John, for example. Same problems of life. But he listened, 1 hour, Prabhupada. Yeah. Why? Because he wanted to, in counseling, it is said, to build that rapport and trust. And then you can ask. One Swami once told me, if you listen to someone, you know what's the side coin of that? That at some point that person is going to listen to you too, because you listen to them. So sometimes it's give and take. It's not only you have to do, because people don't like that. So there are tricks. And Prabhupada used many, many tricks. He said by hook or by crook. You know, as chanting or prasadam or smiling at them, and you know, not with the idea of manipulating them into doing something that they don't want, but to help them. I remember when I had my kids, they were little, and I would take them to the doctor, to the specialist, children's doctor, and always their place was decorated so nicely, and they had so many toys. They say, "Oh, how are you, Janavi? Oh, look at this here, like that." They put the thing, right? So like that. And we have a famous example, Janananda or Jayananda? Jayananda, right? Who will befriend you and says, "Oh, you can hold the nail here. Oh, you can hammer this." And you know, by him being such a hard worker, he will engage others in serving Krishna like that. So I don't know, but there are many who are experts in doing that, and like that. I mean, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes people get offended, you know. One time I remember that Amrita Swami was giving a class in Perth ages ago, and then he was giving the because he's very theatrical sometimes when he gives his classes, and he was giving the example of the monster of devotional service. You know, he was telling like a story, like he says the monster of devotional service comes around and says, "Prabhu, can you wash the pots?" And you're thinking, no. You know, can you wake up early in the morning? No. You know, so the little mind or ego is running away, and the monster is calm, and you know. So sometimes it may become like that, but you know, we have to try and pray, and Krishna will give us the capacity to engage them. Yeah. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol.